Well, if you were like me and thought you had time to maybe go get a drink of water or something like that during that game, then you might have missed really the entire thing. A dominant Game 1 performance there. Still Finch here, still joined by Gormizer. And when it happens like that, right, rarely one thing goes wrong. But I guess what was your takeaway? What happened there in that game?
Well, so there's... You know how every now and then you start a sentence and it gets away from you, much like the way I've stumbled over the beginning of this? That's kind of what happened in Ice Mines there. And there are some teams that just do that. They take you to Ice Mines, and usually you're like rolling the dice. It's either going to be a 3-3 20-minute game,
right,
and it's like clawing for victory at the very end, or it's going to be that where you have 4 total deaths on your squad that come through. When you have a 12-0 Vivian and a 10-1 Koga, the numbers at that point kind of speak for themselves. The biggest thing really does come down to the fact that Headed was able to do 84,000 damage, even though the slash lines are looking pretty much the exact same. He was just melting people left and right. And then you add that with a Rom who's also melting people left and right and distracting. Nada ran to the back line and had like 5 pairs of eyes on him the second round. The first round, they didn't, and they were punished for it.
I mean, and you're right, man. I mean, I think that this ROM really was the big problem here for them this game. He created so much opportunity for the Koga to really get back there and find so many kills to finish off. I mean, you heard Kresnik talking about it. They're having a fight where they don't even really have their healers with them, and they don't seem to need them very much because they're just kind of starting to run away with it. I mean, this was a dominant game #1 performance if you're on the side of Roa. I mean, if you're Akatsuki, you got to figure something out, man.
Yeah, no, that you need a very hard switch back in the other direction.
Maybe
right?
you can write it off because nothing worked there. An aberration, just write it off.
Shrug it off and be like, you know what? Like, it wasn't our map pick anyway, so like maybe we'll just chill. We're going to where we want to go. Hopefully that levels things out. It's not often that you lose both your map pick and their map pick, that the third map is like, okay, this is our turnaround. Was that way for Chroma Space, so it's definitely plausible and possible to turn a full set around from there, but losing the first 2 puts you on very, very rocky ground.
It does make things a lot harder for them, so let's see if they can find some kind of way to make the adjustments on Stone Keep. That's where we're going next. Get those picks and bans, though, first onto the screen. Rao will still be in that first pick position here this time. I wonder if we're still going to be seeing Dredge and Bomb King bans happening early.
Man, I'd like not to. Bomb King I can agree with.
Sure.
Dredge, you know, yes, he can play, depending on where you are, well on Ice Mines. Ban-worthy? No. I think, like, if you're going to Game 5 Ice Mines and somehow in the last 3 games Dredge has been causing you trouble, then, like, that comes up in the conversation. But you're telling me, you know what? All these other good things like Furia and maybe Genos, let's just let those through and ban this guy who admittedly is impactful in games. Normally, I don't want to say non-competitive games, but like your ranked games or your casual games, Dredge will absolutely carry a team. But once it gets to this level of coordination, he should be taken care of.
Let's go ahead and talk about the picks and bans here proper. Genos and Fury are going to be making it through this time, so Akatsuki go ahead and grab the Koga and the Genos together. And this is kind of double-sided, right? Not only are they getting the Genos for themselves, but they're trying to keep this Koga clearly out of the hands of Ro on the other side, too. So I think this is not a bad first 2 picks here so far from Akatsuki.
Made by the paths they choose.
Man, this is a good draft, though,
for
Rao. I mean, Barrack Furia is just a good combo. We saw that during the last set, and we saw like just that combo together can do so much. The last map didn't quite click, I think, the way they wanted it to. But with the way Rao played, it fits very perfectly into their style. Victor plays well on this map. He has that multi-flex option of here's a grenade for a little bit of blast damage, here's some range, but I can also get close and dive in there. Yeah. And then Barrage comes through and just melts people. He is a good champion to have here.
Now they're adding Androxus to give them some of that verticality that you certainly need, and plenty of dive potential as well. This Genos staying safe is going to be potentially difficult for him, I'd imagine, right now, with having to worry about potentially this Androxus just laying in fire on.
Man, this is going to be a tough, for both sides, I think, to fight into. I think a Luminary Koga, along with like a Khan and Vivian on the side having that boost as well, is a ton of damage that's going to be coming at you if you're Rao. but you've got a good hook to be able to set up an Androxus along with a Victor. And again, Inflame can be one of the biggest ults that swings a fight in your favor.
Yep.
So as long as they play even half as well as they did on Ice Mines here, I think Rao has a pretty good chance of kind of keeping themselves ahead.
And Furia really is just that strong nowadays, isn't she? Game number 2 between Rao and Akatsuki. Dave, let's get this one started.
Well, if you're Akatsuki, I think mentally this needs to be game number 1. Unfortunately, it's game number 2 as Rao dives down into Stone Keep. We were still, and you know, maybe this is obviously the first game where some of these players are going to get to be on stream. We're going to get to learn their play styles, things like that. Watching the Rao bans, you got to assume that either Guest or Flynn is an incredible blaster because Dredge has now been banned out twice and Eevee and Bomb King once each.
I actually have seen some of their scrims, and they were doing that against teams that don't even really have specific Eevee players. I think it's just part of
they don't like
the
it.
console players, console DPS,
Sure.
moving to playing against potentially any PC Eevee. They don't want to deal with that. Trust me, it's a lot harder for them for sure. And Dave, these 2 drafts, I feel like this is a PCL match, honestly. You have Vic Androxus on one side, you have
right.
Koga Vivian on the other, with Khan going pretty high, I think, Terminus. A lot of stuff you'd expect to see from then. And I gotta say, I like how Akatsuki are kind of trying to play Rao's game, but with how it was last time, I don't know how easy that's going to be for them to do to turn it around.
Well, we've kind of seen the unchecked Vivian a couple of times today. Now you're going to have a Victor on the other side that you're going to try to keep pace with. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch throughout this game, and expect Headed to be doing a lot of this as well, kind of flanking around the backside. He wants to take this duel with Koga. It's a good thing he had some of those dash charges up, because I'm not sure he wanted it for very long after that one. Early point presence, about even here for both sides, just waiting on that first blood, but you've got Akatsuki up on the high ground and Rao kind of backing off on this low ground.
I like how they have the half shell control on the left because it's harder to push that Makoa, but when that's down, it's a long cooldown. He has to back up. Doesn't matter though, Ramen dying on point.
Finally, Zenny, he finds first blood and Guest answers back with one of his own. That's a frontliner for the Androxus there. And that's going to keep Rao's percentage climbing up. Furia able to get out just with barely a little bit of life there. And another 1-for-1 trade here. This time Victor and Vivian doing the killing for both of their sides as Guest tries to dash his way right back on through. It's Akatsuki who are on the point right now, comes right back out, finds Furia, and Headed falls as well.
I'm surprised this Koga lived. He used all his dashes, but I guess they just weren't ready. Using 3 dashes again just to win the duel, but the lifesteal from the Iron Sights is keeping him up.
Oh no, Atomic finds the kill. Koga stays alive. And that's going to be point number 1 over to Akatsuki. A much better look, Kresnik, than Ice Mines. They've at least got a point under their belt now. We get to see how their push looks.
1 point, and it's already an upgrade as the Cyclone Strike's coming in front.
That's right, and they're looking for a little bit extra. If they can get Rao on the back pedal early and often here, this push becomes a lot easier, especially if you can kind of break this first choke point. I imagine it's going to be a lot of Vivian maybe going up to that high ground to try to counter out this Victor through time and space. That's a big double, and this payload is moving a lot easier now.
I know it's through time and space is scary, but you can't have a team huddle to figure out how you're going to deal with it.
All right, guys, where do we go?
On that high ground. And this, I love having Terminus and Fire because there's really only one way he can get contested, and the Siphon is going to block everything.
Yep.
Atomic might have overstayed his welcome up top, though, with both hit scans coming to pressure.
Sir Flynn finds the first kill here with Makoa back in base. 5 seconds left on his respawn. Unfortunately, you can only aim that Power Siphon in, I guess, kind of one specific direction, and Headed finds the open sightlines on that one. PS1 combines for a nice double kill for himself here. Reversal, that one's good, but instead it's the delayed triple from PS1, and the Victor starting to hit its mark.
I'm actually excited we got to watch the POV of the DPS during that because I was watching a scrim between Triple Deeps and another team that was running a Vivian.
Were they playing 3 DPS?
They were.
Okay.
Both of their console DPS had to have Poison rotate from the other side of the map just to kill the Vivian.
Yep.
Because of that aim assist, that shield's going to be a big deal.
Ooh.
But he lives through the
Oh,
overpower.
they finally clean him up. That shield nearly saved his life. But PS1 goes down nonetheless. Ramen back up he goes. That was the reanimate. I believe that found the kill on the Sukrin there. So now you're losing out on your Furia. That's Dome Shield dropped down. Headed looking for a little bit of a flank, but they saw that Dome Shield. They, I think, just backed themselves off. That's 78 HP for that Androxus. Not going to clean up the kill this time around. 30 seconds left. No ultimates for Akatsuki. You still got a couple big ones for Rao.
Yeah, but I think Akatsuki, they'll charge theirs soon. I think even if this just evens out as a stalemate, it's a win for them. They got both tank ultimates out. Ancient Rage and Dome Shield both unable to be used for the next fight.
Nada is really holding down kind of this right-hand side. 2 members of Akatsuki trying to break down that archway there. Both teams just plugging damage away at one another. This is the battle. I figured we'd see a good bit. PS1 wins that one, but Headed immediately gets traded out here. Ultimates not quite getting used just yet. Down goes Makoa. Is he able to find the kill? That's the beam that rolls through, finds the stun, sets himself up a kill. Overtime starting to melt away here. If you're Akatsuki, you're just trying to get in that ring to contest, and you don't have enough reinforcements, I think, to keep this one going. Great defense there from Rao.
That's why you run half shell, being able to kite around it. If you know you're not going to have someone with you all the time to clean up on those kills, you can just drop down that half shell, do damage while protecting yourself.
Oh no.
Wasn't enough to this
like mid-jump.
It was sick, but it wasn't enough to get them to cap.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you maybe expect them to do a little bit more. That's a big double kill. The respawns, 10 or so seconds there at that point. Surprised maybe even that they're not able to push that one through. You look at the damage charts though. PS1 and Sir Flynn, they're neck and neck with one another.
Yeah, but literally 2 bullets, I think, from either character would be enough to turn that around. And that's not surprising. I mean, those characters, their jobs are literally just to do damage. I feel like Sir Flynn's probably doing more. If we look at the shielding charts, we can see, because he has a lot more things that are going to shred
That's true.
to shields that he's shooting into, and those aren't going to count on the damage dealt chart.
That's right. That half shell is so important. That's some shielding that's going to be important to mitigate throughout this game. Guest first blood here in this next round. Better start from Rao. In Flame, that's going to be pushing them forward here. 3 members of Akatsuki locked up now in this high ground. What can you find, though? The Flame Wings are going to kind of extinguish themselves this time around. Rao were able to get a good control. This is going to be a big accursed arm. Down, drops some damage. He grabs himself 2. 1 bullet away is what he needed for 3. Doesn't find it, but they've got control of this mid.
And you can see how well Andro plays into Khan right now. And
oh, no.
Well, look at this pressure from the hit scans. Both of them, they just can't stop.
It was unbelievable. You got a Victor and an Androxus effectively frontlining for you. Nobody from Akatsuki feeling comfortable sticking their head out around any of those doorways. And needless to say, that's point number 2 for Rao.
Yeah, and you get this pressure from Headed was huge. They just corralled them into Banana. There was no way for them to play around it. Perfect accursed arm from up top, actually using all 3 charges. Now that you can cancel it, I feel like people would be doing it more to save percent, but no one does it. Through time and space barely misses, and Rao wants to stay aggressive.
The thought was there, but it didn't connect on the through time and space. Zenny does fall nonetheless, but so does Ramen on the other side. So that's frontline for frontline. Have those Sentinels ready. Ancient Rage from the Makoa is just looking for something or anything to swing that anchor at, but is unable to connect with too much damage. Maybe keeps his life alive. They are privy to this Koga kind of hanging out behind this payload here. He is very low. Suddenly PS1's going to turn around and try to deal with him. But I think he's going to be able to dash his way through, so no kill coming through just yet. Both teams, one more time. It's been a serious tug of war. It's been hard and fast, but this one's still pretty even.
I feel like Akatsuki could give up some ground. Yeah, they push too far. Ramen goes down to... They're just losing people because they're just trying to hold too close.
Yeah, there's been a lot of just kind of 1 for 1, 1 for none. This time 2 for 0 for Rao. That's Koga. He's thrown out the ultimate, but he doesn't find much for it. Dash charges extinguished. Headed has the accursed arm one more time. He got a double last time around. What's he going to find here? He finds the assist for Zenny, and that's the dome shield. He's going to push back Akatsuki up onto that high ground. PS1, unstoppable Victor is Headed. Puts his cap on that one. And now this Koga's just going to try to contest, and that doesn't bode well for you. Rao, in seemingly similar convincing fashion to Ice Mines, are up 3-1.
Yeah, and the Victor staying in main was a really tough thing for them to deal with. You had to have the Koga pressure them, but they just couldn't. I gotta say, though, I think Guest is doing a fantastic job on this Koga. His damage is a little bit lower, but you got to be thinking the same thing as me. It feels like he has infinite dashes, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to track how many dashes he has, and it just doesn't stop.
I'm watching through these fights. I'm like, that's his last one for sure, and then it's not.
Oh, he's running. So if he gets half health, he gets 50% energy back. He's running that card maxed. I don't really see that a lot, but if your job is to stay alive, it's clearly working out. He is just unkillable for a lot of the time. He's high on the deaths because he's playing so aggressive, but when he has to stall, he just cannot be stopped.
Well, I think of those 6 deaths, him being the last one alive on his team is probably most of those. So he's doing his job. Can the rest of Akatsuki start to pull some of their weight as well? That's a good hook to really melt away at that Con health bar, and Headed makes good on the setup from the rest of his team. Double kill for the Androxus, looking for 3 with the Terminus, but PS1 finds the damage instead. He's going to duck back around this wall. There's a very low health Vivian grenade cooked just a little bit too long. Not going to find the ricochet there, but this is exactly what we saw last time. They get a few first kills, and now they're going to wrangle him up onto this high ground. Not quite as aggressive, though, this time around.
They don't have the ultimates to follow up on it, I think. And
no overpower.
That's such a bad miss.
Yeah, that's tough, especially when you could lose the game right here. Barrage for PS1 could turn it around, could seal up this game. That's a savage Androxus now as Sir Flynn falls by the wayside, and you're free and clear to go for this one, especially if you're not going to miss any shots. You just need one or two more. Atomic does dash his way through. He is able to get the kill, but it's 93%. Sukrin cleans up that Terminus, and now there's Koga in the back line dashing around that Victor, who's able to grab the kill, and that's all they needed. Rao E-sports, they drop a point, but still get the win.
I think they had a chance there at the end. They had someone contesting the Victor in the back if they had moved in, but they ulted the Khan. The Khan ulted the Makoa, walked into keep, and held him up there, and then nobody came. He just waited, and the point just slowly went away to the Furia.
Does that one, in your opinion, does that go to the hit scans? You look at Androxus and Victor, is that carried by them?
Oh, for sure. I think the Androxus especially. Yeah. He counters both tanks, and he did it the whole time. I felt like that Term and that Khan really couldn't do too much.
Yeah, that's a big game there from Headed. PS1 had his fair share of kills as well. Rao E-sports quickly up to a 2-0 lead in this set. We'll break it down on the desk in just a minute.